The land had been dying for years. It did not happen all at once. There was no great disaster, no war to mark its decline, no single moment that could be pointed to as the beginning of the end. It was slower than that, quieter, more insidious. The rivers did not dry in an instant, but shrank by inches, season after season, until the riverbeds cracked and split, revealing bones of creatures that had once swum freely. The fields did not wither in a single harvest, but yielded less with each passing year, until the stalks bent beneath their own weight, brittle and gray. The air did not turn dry overnight, but slowly lost its scent of rain, its weight of coming storms, until it carried only dust and silence. And then came the sickness. It did not come with a fever, nor did it steal breath in violent spasms. It was slow, creeping, a fading rather than a breaking. First, the old, the ones who had lived long enough to recognize the signs, who sat in their doorways and watched as the land emptied itself, as if it too were preparing for the end. Then, the young, the ones whose laughter had once run through the village like fresh water, who now moved less, spoke less, their eyes turning dull and distant, their limbs growing weak. Those afflicted did not cry out, did not fight. They only faded, slipping away like embers cooling to ash, vanishing before anyone had a chance to say goodbye. The people feared. They searched their fields, their rivers, their wells. They burned incense, whispered prayers, mixed herbs and powders, pleading for relief. They turned to the elders, their faces lined with both wisdom and helplessness, their voices heavy with stories half remembered, warnings half believed. But the sickness did not listen. And then finally came the story. A cure, the elders said, existed, but it was not a plant, not a tonic, not something that could be brewed in a pot or ground into powder. It was not something that could be stolen or bought or begged for. It could only be received, and to take it, one had to stand before the Queen of Venom. The name passed through the people like a shadow. Some turned their backs. Some shook their heads. A few whispered stories, each one darker than the last. They said she had always been there, older than the land itself, her body woven through the roots of the world, her breath thick in the air. Some called her a demon. Some called her a god. Others believed she was neither, only something beyond understanding, something that had watched the rise and fall of empires, that had seen rivers carve their way through stone, that had waited, always waited for those who would be foolish enough to seek her. And so the people waited. They hoped. They watched as the sickness spread, as more eyes grew dim, as more voices fell silent. But one did not wait. He was not a warrior, not a leader, just a boy with nothing left to lose. He left before the sun rose, walking alone toward the place where no one dared to go. The land changed as he neared it. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of earth and something deeper, something older. The trees, once lush and strong, grew twisted, their roots rising from the ground like grasping hands. The grass, once soft and golden, blackened, curling in on itself like burnt parchment. The silence was absolute. No wind, no birds, no rustling of leaves. The only sound was his own breath, shallow and uneven. Then from the shadows they emerged. Serpents. Not one, not two, but dozens, their bodies coiled around the roots, slithering through the dust, their eyes catching the dim light, gleaming like polished stones. They did not strike. They did not retreat. They only watched, their tongues flicking, tasting his fear, reading the tremor in his hands, the hesitation in his step. The boy did not run. He did not reach for a weapon. He did not speak. Instead, he stepped forward. The serpents parted. A path winding through the dark. The boy followed. The air grew hotter, thick as oil. The ground softened beneath his feet, pulsing as if something beneath it was alive, breathing. And then, as he stepped into a clearing, the earth shuddered. She rose, the Queen of Venom. Her body rippled as she moved, scales shifting from deep bronze to pale gold, glistening in the dim light like metal dipped in moonlight. She was massive, her coils stretching beyond sight, winding through the trees, vanishing beneath the roots. Her head lifted, slow and deliberate, her eyes burning with something beyond hunger, beyond anger. She had been waiting. She did not speak. She did not move. The boy stood before her, heart pounding. He had heard the stories, that she could strike faster than thought, that her venom was death itself, that one bite could still the heart before a scream could leave the lips. But the elders had spoken of something else, a cure. Not taken, not stolen, given. And so he did not run. He did not raise his hands in defense. He knelt. The Queen of Venom did not hesitate. A flash of fangs, the sharp sting of pain, fire spreading through his veins, searing, consuming. He gasped, his body locking in place, his vision tilting. The world blurred, the edges dissolving into light, into darkness. But he did not fall. The fire did not devour him. The heat did not destroy him. It changed him. And when he opened his eyes, the Queen of Venom was gone. Or perhaps she had never truly been separate from the land at all. The boy rose. His body felt different, lighter, stronger, thrumming with something he did not understand. A faint glow traced along his skin, veins of gold where the venom had touched him. He turned and walked back the way he came. When he returned to the people, they did not understand. They saw the golden scars, the light in his eyes. Some called him cursed. Others called him blessed. They wanted the cure, but they feared the price. Many did not go, but some did. They walked the path alone. They faced what they feared. They knelt before the Queen of Venom, and they returned changed. The land did not heal overnight. The sickness did not vanish all at once, but it did not claim them. Not because they had conquered it, but because they had stopped running. The Queen of Venom remained in her garden. The serpent still watched. The land still breathed. But now the people understood. And when the next sickness came, they did not hide. They walked forward because the path had always been open. They had only needed the courage to take it.